Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Fantastic. So, crisis averted. Crisis averted. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, how are you getting?
I am very good. I am, yeah, everything's pretty good over this side.
That's great. I saw that you've got a book coming out.
Yeah, that was somewhat of a long one. I think I was talking to you, was it a couple of years last year about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it's been a long time trying to write that book. An absolute, some days it was great, some days it was, again, it's like writing anything. Some days it's good, some days it's absolutely torture.
Yeah.
So to the people who don't know the situation, me and you worked together in 2018.
Yeah.
We went to Edinburgh.
Dolly.
With a cracking bunch of people.
That was lovely.
Yeah. We went to do Dolly for the last week in Edinburgh, and Dolly was a comedy. It's like a farcical comedy that touched on.
Yeah, well, I guess you could call it like a dark comedy or a black comedy.
Yeah.
It had kind of very serious kind of themes, but a lot of it was more the sort of human side of people who are going through grief or kind of processing grief through their own gender identity and through their own experience. And actually what was nice about Dolly, I think, was we didn't put a label on him. We didn't put any kind of, there was no real like sense of he's belonging to this community or that community. He was just a person who felt a bit lost, and it was actually dressing up as this figure, Dolly, in a very sort of innocent and childlike way, gave him hope and gave him a sense of purpose. And it was actually funny because the community that he felt would completely judge him ended up welcoming him in the end, shown through your character. So I guess it was more of a kind of a story about like family and community rather than anything. And I guess it was interesting because people tend to look at, men who wear women's clothes or who kind of put on masks or whatever, and they think it's just a fetish or just a sexual thing, which is fine if that's what you're into, but there is an element to it as well for some people where it's about feeling ugly in your own skin and wanting to become somebody else, which I think was an interesting look, because you have all kinds of subcultures. There's people who believe that they're wolves in human bodies. There's people who just want to wear makeup, just want to wear a business suit to feel good. Like everybody dresses up in some capacity. Everybody wants to wear a costume. And even if it's a simple thing of literally combing your hair back on a Saturday night, I think it's just that, but in like a bigger way. So, yeah.
And so what have you been doing since 2018? You got your master's, did you?
I went to Spain. Yeah, I did a master's in acting at the Institute of the Arts Barcelona, which was cool. Yeah. So I lived there for about a year. Then I came back and I went straight to directing Hamlet in UCD, which I set in a circus, which was fun and challenging. It was for Leaving Cert students, so I wanted to make it really like exciting and not, Shakespeare's got awful name with kids, hasn't it? Like, oh, they're being made to go, or it's 3 hours long, it's gonna be boring. But they were not bored because we injected so much kind of color and comedy into it, which was nice, but it was a big challenge. It was like a massive production. And then I had double jaw surgery like a week after Hamlet finished.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, and then I just finished healing from that around middle of March, and then there was lockdown, so that's when I began doing more stuff online and was working with yourself and a lot of other people in like a big project, Talking Icons. And then we did a follow-up, Talking Tarot, with some different people. And so, that was kind of 2020 for me. And then most recently, sorry.
How did you find the transition between going from stage to screen? Like, especially for that first one.
Yeah, no, I realized quite quickly, like, when some of the drafts people were sending me, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Trying to do it like a play, like just putting a camera on in a room, because I don't know what it is, but we instantly fall asleep when you're looking at something. It's kind of becomes flat. think you have to think of it like art. And why does Instagram work with people like talking right up to the camera? It's because it feels like they're looking into your eyes. They're talking to you personally.
Oh.
Whereas if they were just like at the end of a room somewhere, like not looking into the camera, you'd be like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we were never going to have the high standard cameras with lockdown. Like you couldn't meet up with anyone in that first lockdown. So we were never going to have the standard of a film. Like it was not going to be Die Hard, you know, it was what it was. So I think playing with that medium of the webcam and the sort of selfie screen, it opened up a lot of things that you wouldn't think of. So I found it quite interesting, to be honest.
How many have you done? So have you done 3 or 4? Am I right saying you've 3? So your third one's coming?
What's this?
How many productions, projects you've created within the lockdowns?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, we did a thing called Howl, where it was like a Halloween festival. Yeah. And that was just people reading stories that people had sent in. I wrote one story for that, but it was more just people kind of doing their own thing. It wasn't a massive undertaking. And then there's Pheromone, which I filmed as an actual play last week, actually, in the new theatre. So that was even more different because, again, like, I mean, we have Dolly, the recording on YouTube for people to watch.
Yeah.
But it does feel just like a video recording of a play.
Yeah.
Whereas, do you know what I mean? Whereas for this, like, we've got these really cool guys called Lost Film Studios, and they came in and they kind of took a load of close-ups. But they were saying, like, you still want it to feel like the audience are at the theatre. So it does feel very live, but it's extremely high quality. And then also, as the play gets more and more dark and surreal towards the end, they kind of got on stage with us and filmed behind people's shoulders. And so you got all these different perspectives, and the audience kind of go from being just watching to actually being in the world. So it's kind of interesting what you can play with. But yeah, it was a normal play in the sense it had lights, sound, costumes, like a full set, you know.
I seen a picture of the set. The set looks fantastic. Are they like what sort of if you don't want to give it away, what sort of vibe is the show?
Yeah, so it's set in the 1950s.
Yeah.
In a sort of wealthy townhouse in Dublin.
Yeah.
And Ireland, as you know, at that time, people don't know. And Eva, the main character, she lives with her son David, and she completely has these fantasies of becoming a Hollywood star like Betty Davis. She spends all day staring at the television. They're the only house that own the television in the whole of Dublin. And so we wanted it to look very much like a real wealthy house, but at the same time, this element of the surreal, because she's kind of talked to David as he's grown up about demons, and, you know, she's got this kind of very dark way of looking at things. And there's a lot of fantasy elements in there. So the floor is lino, black and white tiles, but if you look at them, they kind of make you feel sick. They sort of move, you know, it's a bit like an illusion room. So we got inspiration from illusion rooms, from like sort of Twin Peaks, that sort of thing. So the colors are very much red, yellow, blue, the sort of standout kind of American dream Hollywood colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think people will enjoy looking at it because, like I said, it does feel like a real house, but also very surreal. Because we played with elements of making it super realistic and like actually like a proper house. But I was like, it's a play, and you can suggest so much more. And then there was the other element: do we go completely crazy and just have like cubes as the set? And I was like, no, they are in a house. You know what I mean? So it's kind of striking that balance. But yeah.
And you got 2. Is it the 2 of them that's in it?
There's actually 4.
There's 4.
Yeah, it's mostly 2 of them, and then there's 2 of David's suitors.
So 2 of them.
So 4 in total, yeah.
Martina is one of the main characters.
Martina is Eva, she's the matriarchal Eva, and then Owen O'Sullivan is David. I'm playing Ruth, which is one of the suitors, and then a girl called Kate is Dawn. So it's interesting. It's kind of female led, but it takes a look actually from the male perspective of it kind of flips on its head that sort of iconic 50s housewife of like this butter wouldn't melt in the mouth sort of thing. Yeah.
And from what I remember, Martina is she'll give it socks. Like, I remember
Oh, she does.
Yeah, Martina gives it socks, and Owen's incredible.
Well, the very first page of the script, it describes what she's wearing, which is not a lot, as you can see. And she was delighted. She had no problem. So that was nice. Because you always want your actors to like be open to doing something a bit challenging and risky, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it kind of takes a look at male domestic abuse, and because you always think of the 50s as sort of women being the victims. So it's kind of interesting to flip that on its head and take a look at it, because we want to make it relevant, and it's still relevant to now. Like, kind of the mental health for men is still a massive issue in this country, and I think with the lockdown, there's been so much more cases of domestic abuse on both sides.
Yeah.
So kind of it draws parallels to that, but without being sort of in your face. Like, it's still just a play you can enjoy, you know.
And with the show, are you hoping, obviously with everything that's going on at the moment, are you hoping for a live audience to come in at some point?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to do it again. I've got all the bits, so ready to go whenever. But yeah, we're hoping people will enjoy online as well, because some of it you wouldn't get from a stage experience. Like I said, some of the more surreal elements of the filming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that kind of over the shoulder sort of shots and stuff like that.
Yeah. As I said, it kind of comes in more as the play gets weirder and weirder. But yeah, it would be great to see it from both sides. I think, like, when you're sat in the audience, there's some real funny moments in it as well. Like, it's kind of kitchen sink kind of humor, very 60s 70s, like rude, silly kind of toilet humor, but it is also like very dramatic and a lot of action. So yeah, I think there's good and bad sides to seeing from each side, but yeah.
And this is a lip sync production?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So you are the artistic director of Lip Zinc, right?
I am.
How did Lip Zinc come about?
So I was in college with UCD in my first year, and I joined the drama society, as you do. And I just got really addicted to creating plays on that stage, that little black box space they have in UCD. And I don't know, I heard about the Galway Fringe Festival that summer, and I really wanted to bring a play that I'd been working on, which actually had older characters. And in UCD at the time, you could only have other students in the production. And I just knew like it wouldn't work. It was a mother and daughter, and I knew it wouldn't work. And at the same time, I was studying at the Gaiety part-time. And I'd met this woman called Janet, who I've worked with numerous times, but she was going to play the mum. And so I was like, you know what, we'll bring it somewhere. And so then when you apply for these things, you have to have like a company name. So that's kind of how it started. But then I've just kept it up. And over lockdown, it's sort of really grown. Anna Canals, who I've known since college, she went to New York and had to come back in the lockdown. She was working in a theatre in New York. I kind of just have been speaking nonstop over Zoom. Lighting designers come on board, and yeah, I don't know. It's just got stronger and stronger. Funny enough, in a time when there's not been much happening, but I think we've made stuff happen because of that. You know.
Yeah.
So it's about 4 or 5 years old now. Lip Zinc.
Definitely. No, I remember because like during, I suppose over the last couple of months, like since probably last summer, just after the first or the second after Hell probably. And I had people texting me about Lip Zinc. Like people,
really?
A lot of people, could be mates from London, one in France, and they were like, "Is this another Lip?" I was like, "Yeah, this is another one." I sent them the link on and stuff like that. So it is. There is like people are talking about it, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I think you just have to keep going, don't you? When you kind of come from nowhere, you have to do it yourself, which is nice.
And how are you finding it now during lockdown?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, like I kind of obviously a secret introvert anyway, and I've always lived in the countryside, so I don't find it sounds arrogant, but haven't found it that bad. It's given me a lot of time away from distraction and just myself and my notebooks and just sort of communicating with that. But yeah, I mean, the hardest thing for me is my dad's got his vaccine, his first dose now, but the main thing was like, I don't want to kill my father because he's type 2 diabetic and high blood pressure and everything. So really, really high risk. So I guess I've literally been like, don't come near me unless like we have masks on, which has been stressful, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think you just have to make the best of it. And I found solace in looking at the past and in history, and people have gone through so many more kind of catastrophic things than this, like think about World War II, people hiding in bomb shelters must have been terrifying, and as much as it is devastating and lonely to be isolated, I think at least we are keeping people safe, and that's what you have to prioritize, I think, and just keep it together, and times will get better. What about yourself?
I suppose I'm in the creative sense of, like you said, I just need to keep going. I need to keep creating something. Like I can't sit, like it was a good time to kind of sit and think of the thing, like execute the ideas that I've had over the last couple of years. Like for instance, finishing the book, wanting to do like something like a video podcast. This is something something I've wanted to do for years. And then there's another kind of project hopefully coming later in the year. That's going to be hopefully top off me here, but again, that's creatively, like other and my mother would be like your father. My mother has like COPD, so like you kind of have to kind of keep your eye on the ball there, where you're like, what's going on? And when people start, like, you have to go up and down to Dublin, and you're like, what's going, like, how do we navigate, like, how do we navigate a train ride, like, what's like, which is kind of a pain in the arse. I think we're waiting on vaccines. We're waiting on dates for vaccines, because my sister is a nurse. My stepfather works in the HSE, so they're all fully vaccinated.
Okay.
So it's between myself and my mother who aren't vaccinated yet. So if anything does happen, it's on me.
Which is really stressful to have in the back of your mind the whole time.
It's a pain in the arse, I tell you that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that something like, I know things are coming back next week. Little things are coming back next week, and then it gradually comes. I'm looking forward to them. And I see my friends out in like New Zealand, Australia, they're living it up. My friends in London, they're living
America
it up.
As well. They're all
America hasn't stopped. I'm convinced they haven't stopped. They just portray what they want to portray, and then they do what they want. Yeah. So it's like, what's that syndrome where you're kind of stuck inside the whole time? I'm kind of starting to get a bit of that now. I'm just looking around going, Jesus Christ.
Like cabin fever.
Cabin fever, yeah, cabin fever. I'm getting a little bit of cabin fever now at the moment. Just right at the end. So here, look, we have to do. It has to go into another lockdown for the sake of another lockdown, I suppose. That's how it has to be. I can't really complain too much about it, because it's not just us that's in the same boat.
Me and you we're actors, but we're writers as well, and I think that's probably nearly easier because we can at least be writing. I think a lot of theatre people who, I suppose, technicians, but also actors who only really want to act, I think they're the ones that seem to struggle with it a lot, because it's just in terms of a creative process, writing actually nearly needs isolation, doesn't it, to have time to actually get it done. And like you said, you have moments where you're hitting your head off the wall going, no, it's not working, but they're really valid moments, and you get through them by having time. And if you don't have time because there's always something happening, you can be quite distracted. So I don't know, I think we have to keep positive and
keep persevering. My friend of mine is a stage manager, and she's basically had to change her whole career in the last 2 years. Like, so I don't know what sort of job she's doing at the moment, but it's a full-time, like, it's a chaotic job apparently, like time-wise and stuff like that. But so she's I think she's really looking forward to hopefully something coming back, so she can just ease her way back into our chosen profession.
I think theatre is probably one of the safest places though, because everyone's quiet. Well, they should be.
Yeah.
And it's, if you're just sat away from people and you have a mask on, I think it's hopefully something that should be quite safe. And we'll hopefully see that very soon.
It should be like, compared to like buses and grocery stores and stuff like that. Like, people bump into each other in trains going people up and down to Dublin. Like you can, it might not be a full capacity theatre, but there could still potentially be a good crowd.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think also by the time they do open, people will be so hungry to go that they will definitely be a good crowd, because everyone who's there really wants to be there. It's not like, oh, I have to go, as my mum said. It'll be like, we're going because we want to see this.
I can imagine Dublin Fringe is going to be very chaotic in a good way. In a good way.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people want to see everything.
It was on last year for about a week, wasn't it? And then got cancelled in the middle.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't. There was outside performances and stuff like that. But again, outside performances, trying to time an outside performance in Ireland is laughable.
Yeah,
really.
With rain. Yeah. It's true. Unless you make it rainproof and do the whole thing, coats or something. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, I think Edinburgh Fringe is going ahead this year, like semi.
Yeah, that's massive.
Hopefully, we're hoping Pheromone will be on their virtual Fringe.
Deadly.
So if people miss it this time, it'll be on again.
When is it on? So it's on from next Monday?
Next Wednesday. It's on for 2 weeks. And the cool thing about it is, because we've got people all over the world, the shows start at 7 p.m. that evening, but once you buy your ticket, it's valid for 24 hours. So you can watch it whenever suits. If you're in Australia, you can watch it at your 7 p.m., which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, we wanted to keep the tickets pretty cheap and affordable for people. And yeah.
So next Wednesday for 2 weeks it's running.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How did you find working? What was it like, I suppose, working with the new theatre in this, like?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, the whole process, I didn't want to do a sort of socially distant monologue performance.
Yeah.
So it was just like, when people are making films, everyone gets tested and bubbles up and everything.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the rehearsals, we're on Zoom, first of all, and then in masks and gloves, which was hilarious because we had no idea what our facial expressions were.
Yeah.
You could only see each other's eyes, which was kind of good because you built up a connection with the other actor a lot. But yeah, up until like 2 days before, we'd never actually done it without masks. So that was weird. The new theatre, again, very good. They've had loads of performances in there being filmed. And they kind of aired the room they had a ventilation thing constantly on, but they also had a system where every like hour you went outside and, they just kept the door open and hand sanitizer everywhere. But I mean, they were generally very, very calm and lovely. There was no sense of like stress, which I think is I think a lot of people are stressed anyway because of sort of COVID or being isolated, whatever. So it was nice to have like people that were very supportive and interested in the project, but they also just completely left us to it. Like once we'd all got set up with the technician, we were good to go, and we just got filming we filmed it all in one day, which was hard. Actually, on the morning of it was lashing down rain.
Oh, no.
And I came in at 10 a.m. to this stage like filling up with water, and Colin's there with a mop, and I said, what are we going to do? And he said, hopefully it'll stop soon. And I was like, what? We've survived everything so far. It felt like at any moment this whole thing wasn't going to work. Like we all had to get tested, and I was like, what if one of us has asymptomatic COVID and the whole thing has to be stopped? And because you hear these stories about films being cancelled and everything.
Yeah.
So up until the last minute, we were like, okay, the rain is going to end this, but it was fine. It just stopped and we mopped it up and we got on with it, but kind of cut out like a good hour of our filming time. But
I suppose it's not a show without something happening, isn't it?
That's something weird anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find the recording? Like, how did you find the guys, the actual guys to record? Because I know in Ireland, when I was looking to record, have something recorded, for instance, if I was doing like trailers for something, or if I'm even to do show reel stuff or theatre, like I found it very difficult to find. Like,
so these guys, I actually know them already. So Nick, I was in one of my plays. Like it seems like all my friends, they've been in a play, but Yeah, no, but he was in my play back in college called The Ride, and I had him as like this sort of like guy who Sarah Gordon brought home as one of her lovers. So he had like no top on in it, and I got him to do all these weird moves. But he's a great lad. He's completely up for anything. But since leaving college, he and his friend Kian started a film company, and they've just gone from strength to strength. And they kind of mostly do music videos, and short films and stuff like that. So I don't think they'd ever done a play before. But I just got in touch with him and I said, I love your stuff. What would you say to recording a play? And he was like, yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, I mean, they've super, super high quality cameras. And we were at the new theatre was saying, look, that you're not going to pick up the lighting like on the camera. And so we were kind of worried about that, but they did some screen tests. And because of that, we had to sort of film the scenes and like take a 5-minute break in between each scene while they readjusted their settings. Because in true Tzarini style, the lighting is quite complex, and like it goes from like really, really bright to like complete darkness and stuff like that. So we had to keep adjusting their settings. But yeah, no, they were really, really lovely and just totally chill. And they said they were having to stop themselves from laughing because they were enjoying the play. They said we're like the only people that get to go to gigs now, because people get them in for filming their music as well. So they're getting to see plays.
So that completely opens a new door for them then, really. And
yeah.
Well, hopefully that's something that I suppose picks up for them, because it's something that I felt that was missing in Ireland. There's a company that films theatre and is in and around it, like someone who kind of rolls off the tongue there. Oh yeah, I know such and such that will be able to do that. Because I know in London, I was able to pick from the bunch, and I was so frustrated coming back here. There's such a strong community of theatre community over here, but there's no one that does something like that. And it's a missed opportunity at the moment.
Yeah, it is definitely, and I think, and actually, it's really important, all that, especially when it comes to getting people into your shows.
Yeah.
I think people like the Abbey have done it for years, but smaller companies don't seem to kind of utilize film or photography enough. Like I know when you were doing Astronaut, like your trailer was really, really strong. And that's kind of what would make me want to go. Whereas if I just saw the blurb, I'd be like, okay, that's interesting, but something else could have grabbed my attention. Whereas when I see a video, especially now, like young people I sound like an old lady, but like they don't have much patience and they don't want to sit there and read a blurb. They want to see something. So yeah, we're kind of, the guys are going to do us up like a promo video as well, which should be out in the next few days.
Totally.
But yeah, no, I think I'll always do that now. Like I said, like I've always grown up in sort of, when I say countryside, I don't mean a country village. I mean a field that's 45-minute drive from a village, like complete isolation, which was great for like one's imagination. But I would have loved to have been able to watch plays. Like that wasn't a thing 10 years ago, you know? It was like once a year, you maybe got to go to Cork City or Dublin and see something, but it was all film. So it's weird that I like theatre so much now, but yeah, I'm going to continue doing that. Even when things are open, I'll take a good video and then have it available for people in other areas. Because what if you're disabled and you physically can't get to the theatre? Let it come to you, you know? And I think that's a good thing that's come out of all this, is that hopefully it will be more accessible and cheaper as well, because like you might not be able to afford €70 for a top seat in the West End, but you could afford 10, you know, for a video version.
And it's coming straight to your door. So for instance, traveling wise, you're not traveling and stuff like that. Yeah,
because there is too much of a sort of elitism around theatre, which I think needs to stop, because originally it was for everyone, you know, like storytelling, it was for the people. So we need to make it more available, I think.
Yeah, more accessible. No, absolutely. That's I find it absolutely big, like West End and Broadway and all that sort of stuff. But I do feel it's something that the Irish theatre game has adopted as well. In that sense, like you go into, especially with like sort of board gosh and all that sort of stuff, and it's more of a company effort rather than a community effort. It's just 150 quid for a ticket. I'm like, no one's going to pay 150 quid. Like,
no. And like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but they could be making more money by having it online for more people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, even I remember when I was doing the Gaiety, a lot of the people they were all really lovely, and they were kind of just ordinary people that wanted to do acting, but they were all wanting to do film acting. I was like the only person into theatre pretty much, and they were like, I said, why don't you like theatre? They said, oh, it's for posh people. It's not for me. Like, I want to do film. And they were always at the cinema, but cinema tickets are like 12, 15 euros. I said, do you realize you can go to the Smock Alley Project Art Centre with a student ticket for probably less than that? And they were like, oh, no, it's for posh people. I was like, it's just in your head.
Yeah.
So I think it's a marketing thing as well. Like, it just seems like it's for either people who study it or for very old people, which I don't know. Once you get these people into something really good, though, they are like, oh, this is amazing. Because you get that exhilaration that you can't get from a film, you know?
Yeah, they're in your face.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Almost like a rock concert sometimes. They've done well.
Yeah, they've done well. I remember going to see Dublin Old School. And I remember the hype about it. Like, and I'd seen the film before I'd actually seen the show.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, oh, this is going to be the guy. I've seen a clip, so it's two lads doing like back and forth on stage and all that sort of stuff. And then you go and actually see the show, and they're in your face. They're in your face with the whole thing.
Are they? Yeah.
They're just jumping at you the whole time. Like Emma Cameron's doing these little like karate moves nearly at some point. Like he's just moving constantly.
Yeah.
So you're kind of following his movement as well as his speech, and stuff like that. So there's such a good like energy, like the energy going to a theatre.
Yeah. That's the thing. And I guess we tried to replicate that with different camera angles on this, but again, it would be an even bigger experience live. But when one of my favorite things I've ever seen, it was Dublin Theatre Festival a few years ago. It was called WrightHere. I don't know, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but then it said Swan Lake. Okay. It was a massive production. And I got like a free ticket because I'd done some other play. So I didn't even research it. I just thought it was going to be a ballet, to be honest. It was not at all. It was Michael Murphy. The first thing I saw when I walked in was him in his underwear tied to a breeze block going, bah, bah. I was like, I'm going to like this play.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. Like everyone was like crying, screaming. Oh, it was incredible because at the end, like in the thing, there was people, like some of the cast were walking through the audience and they're like, where did they come from? And I don't know, it just, the energy was so high. Yeah. But likewise, we've all been to plays, especially in Edinburgh Fringe, where people are like bored to tears. So, you know, but that's good as well. It's good to see everything, isn't it?
Edinburgh Fringe is, I loved Edinburgh Fringe. Edinburgh Fringe to me, like it's something I would love to do. If I had like a couple of weeks, I'd go there for the couple of weeks and just watch everything.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So
you learned so much, didn't you?
I remember I was really chatting to my friend about this the other day, when me, Aaron and Colin went out to the first night. We had a few beers when we arrived. We had a few beers in the kitchen.
More than a few.
Yeah, we had more than a few, right? And we got fairly honest, and we went out to it was one of the gardens, the main kind of
I remember.
Yeah. And Aaron over his shoulder seeing Tilda Swinton, just the word Tilda Swinton. I said, Tilda Swinton's here. This is deadly. And he ran over and he just bought 3 tickets. Now, before anyone really know, they were like 35 quid a pop as well. Like,
yeah,
and he came back, I've got these tickets. I was like, great, deadly, we'll do it tomorrow. And I think we woke up the next day and it was like a parody of Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, it wasn't her, yeah.
Yeah, but still one of the greatest shows I've seen. It was such good crack. Like, we had such a good time. It's just, you never know what you're going to see over there.
No, and I think that's people go knowing that, and they have an open mind.
Yeah,
which is quite nice, you know.
Yeah.
What's it been like around where you're living, like in terms of people's behavior compared to? It's interesting because I spent the first lockdown in the middle of nowhere, and then I've been in Dublin for the last 6 months, and it's weird.
I think Dublin, especially in the last 6 months, Dublin has kind of come alive more. I noticed that because I go up and down to Dublin. Around where I've been, it's kind of the same, because I think where I am it's like an extension to Dublin. It's like the coast. It's like, yeah, it's right on the edge. So a lot of people come down to go to the beach and stuff like that. But for the first year, it was the first year, Jesus. For the first, do you know what I mean? For the first year, it was very cool. It was like everywhere else. It was just airy streets, and people were social distancing on the beach, like they were miles away from each other, and everything was taken as gospel. Anything that anyone said was gospel, so everyone just kind of stuck to their own way for the first year. And now everything's kind of coming back. People are coming down. There's a couple of takeaway restaurants and stuff like that, so people are getting food, they're going out and about. And then Dublin's just Dublin. I was in Stephen's Green there a couple of days ago. I walked by Stephen's Green, I wasn't in it, but it was packed.
Oh yeah, people are turning parks into electric picnic, and but I find there's so much more rubbish, and it's kind of smelly. And it didn't used to be smelly everywhere.
Yeah, I don't get why they can't just clean it up. Like, I don't get why people don't bring a bag for, like, if they're going to bring, say, a few drinks or whatever. Like, I don't get why they just don't bring a bag to put the empties in instead of leaving them on the grass. I don't understand the mentality. The mentality of that is like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it's weird, and it's almost like I love the hot weather, obviously, but I've kind of preferred days where it's raining for a walk because there's nobody out.
Yeah.
And then, like, every other day, like, if you go past the canal, it's busier than it ever was, and they're not social distancing. And I'm kind of thinking, what's the point in anything being closed?
Yeah, if everyone's
on top of each other. But yeah, I don't know, like down in Limerick where my dad lives.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so weird. Like, it was so surreal. It was like something from a David Lynch film. People with like cow kind of gloves, you know, milking gloves, massive gloves kind of like this, and then smoking with them and like goggles on. It was like really strange. And like signs, this local garage, they had, where the entire family kind of owns the village, like all the groceries, they all have the same names, you know.
Yeah.
But the on the floor they'd written in black paint, it was like something out of Stranger Things, and it said 6 feet apart is better than 6 feet under. And then on the window it said something like you'd rather be alive, wouldn't you, or something like, don't go into your grave early. And it was really weird. I was like, this is like something from a Tim Burton film. Like, what's going on?
This is where the dark sense of humor for your theatre comes from, I presume.
Probably, I think I'm inspired by sort of 60s, 70s stuff like Joe Orton and these kind of like British kind of kitchen sink realism mixed with like kind of tragic, overly religious countryside upbringing.
Yeah.
But it is funny, like people are really funny. I remember I was looking in a charity shop in Ennis one day. So I used to live in Clare, I've moved around a lot, and I said to the woman, I said, do you have any kind of big dresses? Because I was doing a play in UCD at the time, and it was sort of farcical, and we needed sort of kind of mad looking costumes, and she says, oh geez, I would have given you them, but sure we have to give them to the Father Daly last week. And I said, well, she says, oh yeah, him and all the priests, they do men in tights every year. And I was like, what? This is the congregation like doing things like that you don't get in the city, which is nice, and it's funny, like, and ironic, and it definitely inspires me.
I don't know, that's deadly. So you're up in Dublin? How long have you been up?
I've been living with my partner Shane, who you've met before, the musician.
Fantastic musician.
For about, I'd say since around October time. I brought my little dog Tara, who's hilarious because she's scared of her own shadow, and at first she was like people, because she's always lived in the field, and suddenly but now she's a real city dog, and she loves the kind of attention that people give her. But yeah, no, it's nice, and it's allowed me to rehearse plays as well, like, because I could never have done Pheromone down the country. Like, I was kind of getting bored of doing monologues just as a writer. I wanted to go back to like other stuff, you know. So it's been handy, but like I said, sometimes I just want people to go away and just walk around the field, because when you can't go out for like dinner or to a play or like music, they're things that really suit having people around. But when you're just trying to go for a walk, it can be a bit annoying, can't it? Like,
people, you want your own space.
But no, I'm not complaining. I do love Dublin as well. It's a nice vibe.
It is indeed. I suppose on that note, I'll leave you. I will let you get back to your busy schedule. Putting together Pheromone. Pheromone is out next Wednesday at 7.
Yeah, so you can book tickets on takeyourseats.ie.
Yeah.
And like I said, they will be on, it's on every day at 7 for 2 weeks, but like book whatever day suits you, and you have 24 hours to watch. So it's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. You'll have to let me know what you think.
I will do. Send my best to everyone in the production.
I will.
Hopefully everyone's doing well, and I look forward to seeing it next week.
Brilliant. Okay, and we're definitely going to do our other play, Stargazer, at some stage.
Yeah, I still have the script upstairs for that. I do.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some changes. I'm going to make some edits and hopefully, like, because that really needs a live audience, I think, because of the sort of comedy nature.
The back and forth between myself and that, yeah, absolutely.
Very funny, but we'll get it together. Okay, I hope you have a lovely day.
Thanks, you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Right here, right now.